Ziad Abdelnour once said, "Life is like a camera. Focus on what's important, capture the good times, and if things don't work out, just take another shot." I think this is particularly important during the pandemic. When I first heard of the pandemic, I immediately took to journaling. And I'll admit it was a bit tedious to find the time balancing my schoolwork and other activities to write and reflect. So I took to the next best thing, which was documenting with my camera. To me, this made perfect sense. I was thinking about how people in the future would be able to see and hear the things I was experiencing behind the camera rather than just reading my thoughts on a piece of paper. I'm not dismissing the fact that journaling is important. It is, and it's important to take the time to reflect on how you're feeling. But to me, I found that using the camera was my best outlet to share with the future what it felt like for me with what was happening in the world. It's crazy to think how prevalent cameras are today. There's all different kinds of cameras. There's older ones, there's video cameras, there's chunkier ones, webcams, the ones we have on our laptops, phones. And the one I'm using right now. Without these, I wouldn't have been able to capture memories, as well as unprecedented events, such as my brother's drive-through graduation.
So weird.
And my family friend's social distancing 50th birthday party. I also wouldn't have been able to capture what my life was like. But people have been cynical about what cameras can capture. Susan Sontag, who's an American author, wrote in her book On Photography, "One never understands anything from a photograph. The camera's rendering of reality must always hide more than it discloses." Photo manipulation is a real thing, not just in photos, but also in videos. Photo and video editing programs allow users to manipulate what other people can see and to portray it in a way that the user desires. For example, I can turn this video into an absurd scene like this one. But some things aren't as easy to spot, such as deepfakes, which can be very dangerous. They can spread lies and misinformation with malicious intent. On top of this, cameras are heavily used in our modern-day surveillance. According to the ACLU, this strips our right to privacy, which is troubling in our democratic society. Many things have proven that this is ineffective. In fact, closed-circuit television, or CCTV, has been proven to be more susceptible to all types of abuses. Criminal abuse, institutional abuse, abuse for personal purposes, discriminatory targeting, and voyeurism. To make matters worse, there's a lack of checks and balances on CCTVs in the law because of the quick evolution of technology. But does this necessarily mean we should fear cameras? I like to use the analogy of a knife. If a knife is put in the wrong hands, someone could use it as a weapon. But if put in the right hands, it could be used as a cooking utensil. Like a knife, a camera is a tool. If put in the wrong hands, it could be put to wrong use. If put in the right hands, it could be put to the right use. If it was put in the hands of an artist or hands of a creator, it's a way for them to express ideas in a fairly new medium. And instead of photo and video manipulation being seen as such a bad thing, it can be seen as an artistic choice. They're coloring what reality is and how they would like to see it, and sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes that's just a way to express yourself through a medium of capturing reality. These things don't seem so bad. Really, it's up to us how we decide to use it. I like this quote from Henri Cartier-Bresson. He's a French photographer, and he said, "For me, the camera is a sketchbook, an instrument of intuition and spontaneity." And I think nowadays it's easy to dismiss the fact that we have camera technology in our back pockets. We can just take our cameras out, take our phones out, and we can capture what we feel necessary or compelled to capture in that very moment. And I think the idea of spontaneity and just feeling that you have to capture this moment is a really beautiful thing, and I see it as a phenomenon. We can capture the good things in our lives, or we can capture the not so good things. How are you feeling about your drive-through graduation?
It's not right. You know why. You definitely know why. It's not the same. But it does feel weird.
Okay. We can share what we've seen around the world, or we can share what we're experiencing at home. We can share interviews about our friends and family, or we can share information about ourselves.
Are we gonna have to do online classes though? Because I can't deal with that. Yeah,
Pretty sure we will.
we are. I talked to my advisor. He basically said London is cancelled and he doubts that we're gonna be going back to Boston.
We were gonna go here. That sucked because you were planning that for so long. Like, I'm sorry that had to happen, man.
Cameras are tools that let us do these things, and I think spreading creativity and inspiration is much better than living in fear of cameras. Without the camera, I wouldn't have been able to capture these things.